My wonderful friends, welcome back. If you're new, welcome for the first time to the Follow Your Path channel, which is all about tuning into and unfolding your unique path, not what your parents told you, not what you were conditioned to take in from society or what anybody else is doing. I'm talking about you, your path, that heart inside of you that nobody else has, that signature of love that nobody else has, that life wants to express itself through. That's a pretty big deal when you tune into that. It's pretty sweet. I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than I'm little me and where am I and how do I do this? Like, that's the human ego, and that is what we are transcending. As somebody who very deeply, and I mean, most of us have, right? We walked that path for long enough. We're starting to all realize that ain't it. And there's got to be something more. And if you're somebody that asks that question of, hey, there's got to be something more, I'm here to tell you, oh, yeah, there is a whole lot more. And what an amazing time that it's starting to become available more and more. There's levels, right? So you get, as you expand, a little bit more opens up. There's a little bit of contraction, but we've been very much living at the surface level of our capacity and what this reality is. And as part of the Aquarian Age, which I'll keep talking about it, it's all about how we relate to this three-dimensional reality, how we relate to the divine, the infinite beingness that we are, and coming into the gnosis of that, coming into the embodiment of that. That's what this is all about. So thank you for being here. I got some hot heat for you today. Okay? I'm feeling the energy, and I can just almost definitively say, at least I know for myself, this is the most transformational big year, big leap forward than ever before. And how do I know this? Because I'm starting to respond to certain emotions differently. I'm responding way differently to things that happen in the 3D world out there. I'm not giving reactions to things that I once did. These are the benchmarks. This is how you know you're actually transforming when these things start happening. And that's when you start celebrating, right? That's how you measure progress. The things that used to bother you and trigger you and piss you off or put you into a state of lack or shame or guilt or whatever it was, they're not touching you as much anymore. And you can see them for what they are, right? At this point, if you still think that you are the voice in your head and you're still identifying with the ego, that's going to really suck. Plain and simple. That's just, you're going to have, there'll be a lot of ups and downs. You'll have good experiences, sure, but you'll have just as many bad ones, and it'll be like that, right? As I've mentioned before, you'll be on that scale, that pattern of addiction and the high highs and just pinballing back between the two. No fun. Not fun at all. There can even be an addiction to that ping pong experience, the ups and the downs. As crazy as that sounds, but we can get, if you're in that for a while, you can get used to it, right? So catch yourself if you're in that place, because this is a time that's all about balance. We got to bring it back to the center. We got to bring the polarities together. We got to unite the masculine and the feminine. We have to unite all the wounded, fragmented pieces of us, all the trail of ego that we've left on our journey, bringing it all back to the table as one, addressing all the fears, addressing all the concerns that those parts have, and letting them know that they have a space, they're welcomed, instead of pushing them away and engaging in addicting behaviors. Okay, so I am going to read you something today that I want to get into that you're ready to hear, and maybe you've heard it before, but I want to let this land in a way that just goes boom down in there. Okay, this is a teaching from St Germaine, and this is from a book called Unveiling Mysteries. If you haven't read it, especially if you consider yourself, let's say, an old soul or someone who's just like really on this path of of transcendence, of enlightenment, of self-actualization. This is right down your alley, and you want to read this book. Here we go. The power of accomplishment is the energy of the God self in each human being born into the world. It is always active every moment in your mind and body. There is no instant in which this mighty energy is not flowing through all individuals. You are privileged to qualify it as you please at the command of your own free will through conscious direction with your thought and feeling. If individuals, pay attention to this part, if individuals would discriminate between their thoughts, the thoughts within the God flame, and the thoughts of others' intellects bound to the evidence given by the five senses, which consider only appearance, they would be able to avoid all discordant activities and conditions in the world of experience. There's a lot there. Basically, what I get from that is we have this responsibility that we're coming into, this power inside of us that is that God force energy, that substance that can create anything in this three-dimensional reality. If we can learn how to direct it for our right use and the desires that we have, not the ego desires, which are all about material stuff and accumulating wealth and being in that place where nothing is ever enough. I'm talking about you have a desire that life is bringing up through you like a wave that just feels aligned with your heart and it feels joyful and exciting. That is meant to be realized, and you use that source energy, that consciousness within you, that divine aspect within you, that creative, abundant, infinite flow of power to see it through. Not through the conditioned ego mind, which says, I have to force and I have to put in all this effort and try to do matter through matter. No, you're using this to create with wisdom, which is with your consciousness, where you are recognizing there is no separation. The thing's already here. The desire already exists, and you're just being a channel for that energy to bring it through. If you go into a place of separation and lack, and it's not here yet, aka the 5 sense prison, you're never going to get it, right? Because our five senses are awesome. Okay, let's not get that mixed up. Our five senses are great. They allow us to have this 3D experience in this body, and that's awesome. There's so many cool things about that. The issue is that we get locked into it and then we let the outer appearance tell us what is true and what is not, when most of reality, beautiful people, is in realms that we can't perceive with our five senses. And these are the types of gifts that are awakening in our Akash, because we've done this before. You have done this before. And by the way, you're a master of this. You know how to create in this way, and it just got dormant, and it wasn't fostered as a child, and it was all part of the evolutionary unfolding. But now we're ready. We're ready to be smart again. We're ready to connect to that power, use it responsibly, and bring heaven on earth where everyone is realizing their beautiful God given desires and living a life that where they're feeling safe and they're feeling authentic and they're led by their heart instead of the fractured, wounded ego mind. And that's just been out of control, right? It's just led to a lot of undesired things at this point. We're ready for that next stage of evolution. Okay. So, as part of that teaching, this is so important, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing that you've got to do is tell your outer circumstances to piss off. They do not mean anything, right? Even if you're seemingly in a scenario that is highly triggering and it looks like the walls are caving in around you and it looks like there's no hope, can you have the faith and the knowingness to say, that is not it? That is, first of all, it's here for me. and be inquisitive enough and curious enough to even get to that place. Okay, what's this here for me? What's this offering me? How is this leading me back to myself? What is life doing here? Because it's either a wake-up call or it's just a miscreation coming from that false part of you that created it from fear. It's just going around just Johnny Appleseed fear seeds all over the place. And then we're like, why does my life suck? Why does it look this way? When's the last time you planted seeds of love? When's the last time you put your conscious attention on things that brought you fulfillment, joy, peace, excitement, something that served the planet, served others? When's the last time you let your mind really pour forth its cosmic rays onto those things? For so many of us, it's very little, and it's not that we don't want to. It's we either don't really know how, we're not trained to, or we're conditioned to just keep avoiding things and keep our attention on what we don't want. People are very good. You can ask anyone in the street, and they'll tell you what they don't want, and they're very well versed in that. But if you ask them, hey, what would your dream be if there wasn't any barriers? What would you want to create and explore on planet Earth with all the possibilities here? People would be like, I don't know. I have no idea. Can you tell me? What would you do? They'd throw it right back on you. I've seen that a million times. So you got this mighty energy flowing through you that you can use to create anything that you would like. But again, most of us are creating things that we don't want, things that we would like to avoid. And we're qualifying that the most powerful energy that there is in a way that's just very unwise, in a way that's um, very childlike, right? Right? No, I don't even want to say that because children are way better at this. They're way better. Their imagination's way more open. As adults, we're confined and we're so boxed in and limited in our thinking that we don't realize this wellspring of creative genius within us that is meant to be tuned in with and used for again our desires. Now your conscious mind has the free will in any moment to redirect itself and put the attention on things that are desired, things that light you up, things that make you feel good about yourself. This is how I got rid of the negative self-talk and the just horribly toxic environment that I had within my own self. I could probably stand toe to toe with the most angry and self-hating, self-loathing types of people out there. You put me up next to them and we would have a good match. My inner dialogue was so brutal, right? Now we're learning the importance of our inner experience right now. It's people will say, "Oh, it's weird to talk to myself and weird to give myself encouragement and say things to myself that are empowering and truthful and feel good." But yet you talk shit to yourself all day long and you berate yourself, you judge yourself, you criticize yourself. You're so good at that. And if you're good at that, you can be just as good and even better at becoming your biggest supporter, which is what needs to happen. And I can tell you from taking that journey, and it's logic too. It's like, duh, if I harbor thoughts of anger and resentment and fear and I keep my attention on those places, that makes me unhealthy. That corrodes my internal structure and I keep myself flushed in cortisol and stress hormones all day, and that starts to break down my tissue and my organ function, and it keeps me in that fight or flight state, and it uses so much energy up to keep myself there, and I find myself becoming way less healthy. I feel like a light that's gone out, and even just the science of and the logic of knowing these things, it's like it doesn't make sense to do this to yourself, right? And you're only choosing it unknowingly because it's an unconscious shadow pattern. So this is why shadow work is so important right now, so that you can unify all of the pieces of you that used to think that way because they believed reality was a certain way. It believed itself to be a certain way. And when you can become the consciousness that just sees it all happening, notices the craziness of those thoughts, and you say, bring it back. Come on now. That's not it. Right? You're not pushing them away, making them wrong. You're holding space like, oh, I hear you. I get, and I know that was a part of me that was lost in that darkness, but like, all right, bring it in, come to the table. We're doing this. We're going this way now. Love you guys. Here we go. You are you're worthy of this. That doesn't even sound exactly like the way I want to say it. It's your right. It's your birthright to know to use this and to stop squandering it and using it for things that hurt you. It's time now to be smart and use it for things that create beauty in your life, that create a garden that you're stoked about. And this is why I will keep making these videos, because it's like you want to shake yourself like, it's like, get out of the hypnotism, get out of the illusion. You are very powerful. There is a wisdom inside of you that knows exactly what I'm talking about and how to use this. But if you keep lying to yourself and saying, I'm confused and I don't know how, and guess what's behind that? It's a shadow of victim. It's a shadow of, I don't want to take full responsibility for this. And I so get that. And I'm still even dealing with a little bit of that in myself, of fear, let's say, of um, if I start wielding this power and I start, let's say, achieving some level of success, I'm going to hurt other people. My light's going to burn others. It's going to do something that is undesirable. People might judge me. These are the limitations and the fears that we have got to recognize when they're happening, because they're going to keep you circling. And there's way too many powerful people that are here to make an impact on the planet that are watching this video to allow that to continue to happen, to allow the addictive behaviors and distractions to keep you locked into a reality that's not doing it for you, right? It's like no wonder so many people don't want to play the game anymore and they want to get off the planet because they can't see a way out of this loop. And so here we go. It's time to be wise and use this energy and flow it creatively towards things that are aligned. Qualify your thoughts. If your thoughts, you have to be a good shepherd during this time, as I've said. This is why they said it in the Bible and some of the other ancient Gnostic texts. It's like they always make references to shepherds, because if you're not watching your mind and you're just letting it be in that unconscious shadow pattern and feeding you destructive self criticism all day, what are you going to do? You're going to be locked into that. That's hell, right? We're here to create heaven, not hell any longer. Okay. And if enough of us are doing this, it's gonna. What if you decided right now, you watch this video and you said, you know what, I'll play with this. I'll at least listen to what he's saying and give it a shot. I will, for the next 30 days, put all of my attention on my own inner dialogue and where my attention's going. And I'm going to focus on what an incredible life would feel like. Abundance in my bank account, customers flowing in if you have your own business, your relationships thriving, a smile on your face. You're enjoying your experience here. You feel capable, you feel strong, you feel confident, and you're checking that part of your ego mind that might say, well, we haven't had that before. There's no evidence to support that. That's what you get to put a spotlight on and realize, okay, hello, Mr. Gatekeeper that wants to keep everything at homeostasis to what's been. I have to, again, step one, say that's not it. Discard everything in outer appearance and realize, if I'm creating from virgin consciousness, which doesn't have any of the filters put on it, which doesn't have any of the opinions and judgments of the ego, that's where the Christ is born. That's where the wisdom is born. That's where your beautiful creativity can flow and your inner expression can be made manifest into the world through various incredible creations that you have within you. There's no force, there's no fighting, there's no using your willpower to try to like conjure something up. It just simply flows through you and you will be led to where you are meant to go if you can relax and receive it. This is a time to receive, right? And even if your mind's freaking out and it's in fight or flight because it's addicted to uh thinking it has to do something, to fix this problem that you're seeing, guess what? You're going to keep creating the same problem. And I know that very intimately because I did that for many years. I couldn't stop myself when I was living out of my car and I was like, I have to fix this. I have to do something. I have to get my way out of this. And then I would go to a coffee shop and pretend like I was working on my business and barely do anything. And that was my ego's way to keep things where they were. So I didn't have to stretch and I didn't have to make these moves that were going to put myself out there and bring something to life that came from within my own heart that could be criticized or judged or rejected or any of that. It wanted to avoid all parts of that. And for years, I spun my tires in that place. And you don't need to do that. You could, but I'm here to recommend not doing that. And instead, recognizing this power within you and start to use it wisely. For 30 days, what if you went full blast into this? You woke up with intention and you said, my day is going to look this way. My day is filled with exciting opportunities. Wonderful things are happening in my life. Incredible experiences are coming my way. I'm smiling at people. I'm feeling good about myself. When a shadow comes up, I love on it and I look right at it like it's a wounded child that I used to be because it is. And you become the good shepherd. And you're watching and you're observing all these old limitations that used to be within you. And you're realizing that the creator put this power in you and wanted to see what you would do with it. Imagine that. What will you do with it instead of hurting yourself, instead of creating bullshit, instead of surrounding yourself in a prison of lack and limitation? Can we get out of that? Can we leave that behind? I think it's time for all of us to do that so that, like I said, heaven can be on earth. We're all in this place together and we're realizing how good it is to come back home to yourself and start to use that power and see it actually working in your life. There's no greater fulfillment than that. It's like, holy shit, I'm a magician, even though that's an ego thought. It's very cool to see these things start to show up and your outer reality start to shift as a result of your internal shift. And then it inspires you to create more and keep going. Right? I promise you, as someone who doubted it and someone who's like tried to put off visualizing and generating a feeling within myself because my strong ego mind was like, well, nothing's happening out here. It's not true yet. Like, because I had to realize that part is not it. I am the awareness beyond that. And I choose where that energy gets directed instead of that part, right? That's where we're at. That's what's happening. That's why this year is very exciting, beautiful friends. We're just getting started on the channel. There's going to be very, very big things coming up. And I want you to know, and I want you to feel in your body if you're watching this, uh, this is the time. There's no next year. There's no whatever bullshit story. Right now, you have the choice to say for the next 30 days, I'm going to commit to this and see what happens. And I'm going to confront all of the parts that are afraid of commitment or afraid of power. And I'm going to notice these things. Okay? And love myself through the process. Give myself grace. Because when you start to build your light and you start to walk the path of freedom, as I've said before, you're going to be chased, right? All the Pharaoh and all of his men are going to come after you to try to bring you back to the slave world and the ego prison. But we are together making our way out, right? We're about to. You might already be in the wandering desert period, and that's great because that's where you receive so much. But everyone's at different stages. Anyways, I love you all. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be putting the group program information out soon. I'm just finishing the last pieces of that, the structure of that, and you bet your ass that's going to be a super charged, powerful space. And I can't wait to see you in there and wait till you see what we create together in there. We are going to take everything that I'm speaking about and just detonate it cosmically to explode those seeds of creation everywhere instead of the fear ones. And you'll see what I mean if you join us. It's going to be very, very powerful. With that being said, I will be back soon. Lots of love. As always, peace within is peace without.